Some pain fades, and some stays with you forever. Reddit asked, what's the most pain you've ever felt? From fire and surgery to grief, betrayal, and loss, these stories will stay with you long after the video ends. Burned in a house fire, and when the water heater exploded and turned into a flamethrower. Burned over 90% of my lower body. 70% of that was burned to the muscle, no skin at all left. The descaling bath, consisting of 1 bottle of betadine and 1 pound of salt in a whirlpool, was a nightmare as well. I spent 4 or 5 months in the hospital and another 2 years in rehab. I was 12 years old. You win. Agreed. My mom was an RN for 35 years, worked in every major department. She said burn victims suffered by far the worst pain she witnessed. She'll never forget the agonizing screams. She would reference the pulling out of the skin and baths that they were submerged in to descale them. She said it was the hardest thing she ever had to do. Her heart hurt for them so bad. OP, my heart goes out to you. I hope you found some life without the pain. I'm sure the mental pain and trauma linger. This might be a dumb question, but after a skin graft, is the skin still elastic? Like as you get older, does your skin continue to grow with you? Yes, it keeps growing. It's just a giant scar. The major difference is that the nerves didn't reconnect, so I have no feeling on the surface of my legs. I can get a pretty nasty cut and not feel it at all. Second, being a scar, it takes months for that cut to heal. Toothache where I contemplated suicide, and I had an ectopic pregnancy that ruptured my tube with internal bleeding, but the toothache was worse. I'm terrified it will happen again. I cracked a molar in half, and it was 2 weeks before it could be taken out. Only painkillers that would touch it incapacitated me, and I had to keep working, so I went without. It hurt to eat, it hurt to drink, it hurt to breathe. It even hurt in my sleep. I saw toothache on an old document once as a reason someone was committed to an asylum. I 100% understand why now. I was a victim of medical malpractice. I was 15 years old, held down to a table by nurses and my oncologist while he performed a bone marrow biopsy on me while I was wide awake with no sedative or numbing medication. He's currently rotting in prison and will hopefully be there for the rest of his life. His name is Dr. Farid Fatah, arrested in 2012 or 2013. Time's getting away from me. I'm reading what he did and it's so frustrating. Guy gave hundreds of people unnecessary and excessive chemo treatments to people who did not need it, including people who did not have cancer, to run up insurance bills. They had a guaranteed win with the fraud case. It's stupid, but the defense would argue that there is not 90+% proof that the people who had issues as a result of what he did wouldn't have had those issues eventually either way. My dad went down a mountain in a logging skidder and blew up at work. Over half of his body was 2 third-degree burns. It was pure hell hearing the workers' comp defense argue so many of his problems were unrelated to the accident, but it's absolutely what they did at every turn. No, actually. He would not need to relearn most basic skills and need physical therapy if he hadn't blown up and gotten a TBI that wrecked his self-control and short-term memory. And yes, the whole family needed therapy because it messes kids up having to see their dad naked to change dressings on burns while he regularly abuses everyone because of his circumstances combined with the TBI changed him as a person. They wouldn't even pay the hospital for the emergency airlift out of the woods and burn surgeries and skin grafts without fighting. They used to send spies to the house trying to catch him faking it. He was in a full body cast his first few weeks home, and this was the behavior we dealt with. Sneaking around our neighborhood and offering our neighbors cash for pictures of him not being hurt as bad as he was saying he was. Insane times. Rectal cancer, T4 tumor, still fighting it daily. I am wishing you strength and recovery. My very loved uncle is in the exact same place. We don't do feelings among the men in my family, no matter how hard I try. I know he uses Reddit a fair bit, but wouldn't have a clue what his username is. I don't know where you're living, my friend, but please know your family and friends love you dearly, even though it may not show outwardly at times. And if this just happens to be my Uncle David, big fella, I love you so much, mate. My daughters absolutely adore you, and we can't wait to spend Christmas with you all. I'm sorry my work keeps me away from home, but just know you're never far from my thoughts. Can't wait to have a yarn in your backyard and throw back a fair few IPAs when I'm home next. Much love. Watching my mother go through dementia and die a little bit every month. Watching someone you love have their mind deconstruct itself is a horrible process. I can sympathize with this as my mom died with the same thing. I would not wish dementia on my worst enemy. It is an insidious condition that takes the person you knew away and leaves a husk, a shell of that person. They essentially die mentally, but live on physically. The emotional pain of seeing this was devastating. I hope you have healed or are starting to, and I have your deepest sympathies.
Hey, don't scroll to the next thread. Please just subscribe, like and hit the bell, or you will miss the next wild Reddit story. I'm already working on it, so see you in the next video.
Grief, honestly. Edit, I just want to say I really appreciate all those commenting to share your experiences. Loss is an awful thing, and I remember feeling quite isolated in the thickness of my grief. It's comforting even now, years later, to identify with people who have felt how I have from all over the world. So thank you for that. Came to say this. For me, it was the day I pulled the plug on my dad. The guilt still finds me a decade later. I can still see him laying there if I think about it. It was his birthday. I was going to say my knee replacement, but nope, grief. I saw this a while back and boy, it did hit hard. Grief is a tricky beast. It's a little bit of looking back and a lot of mourning the future that never will be. Yes, there's no anesthesia for it. The most gut-wrenching feeling, like your entire abdomen has been carved out and replaced with unrelievable pain. I'd take all the physical pain I've endured over the feeling of unexpected premature loss.
My cat died a year ago, and it was worse than every family member and friend I've lost in my life. Feels almost embarrassing to say it now because I know she was just an animal, but she was one of my best friends, and she was there for me through the most formidable times of my life. And it just fucking devastated me when I lost her. I still think about her every single day. I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't take your pets for granted. They can give you an amount of unconditional love you can't get from most humans, and when you find the perfect pet, they can never be replaced.
I'd never expect someone to say they're embarrassed for grieving a family member. Your cat was your family member. Don't minimize your pain. I'm really sorry for your loss. Sounds like your cat was very fortunate to have your love every day. It's a feature of humanity that lacks in so many. Your cat was not just an animal. Humans are animals too. A lot of us forget that, and yet we place great importance on ourselves above other life when we're just another evolved form of life. You had a bond with another life form that is just as special as a bond with another human life form, in my opinion. Moments and feelings were shared between you and felt and experienced by both of you. All life is equal. Your grief shows that, and shows your character appreciates other life. I baffle how everyone can't see animals share all the feelings we do. Perhaps they just don't have the language to rationally internalize the feelings, but regardless, they feel the feelings and share an experience with us from what I can see.